You think manifestation is about wishing hard enough. You think it's about vision boards and affirmations, and holding the image of what you want until your mind hurts from the effort of believing. You think it's about doing more, visualizing more, affirming more, until somehow the universe finally hears you and decides you've earned it. But here's what no one tells you. Manifestation isn't about convincing reality to give you what you want. It's about becoming the person for whom that reality is already inevitable. It's not a transaction, it's a transformation. And for 30 days, I decided to stop theorizing about quantum manifestation and actually live it. Not as an experiment, not as a test, but as a full embodiment of what happens when you stop trying to manifest from lack and start collapsing timelines from coherence. This is what I discovered. Day 1 didn't start with excitement. It started with resistance, because the first thing quantum manifestation asks you to do is the hardest thing most people will never do. Stop wanting, stop needing, stop chasing the thing you think will complete you. You cannot manifest from desire. Desire is the energetic signature of absence. It's the frequency that says, I don't have this, I need this, I am incomplete without this. And the quantum field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your state. It mirrors back the frequency you're broadcasting. So if you're broadcasting lack, you get more lack. If you're broadcasting need, you get more need. This is not punishment. This is physics. So on day 1, I stopped asking for anything. I stopped visualizing outcomes. I stopped trying to make anything happen. Instead, I did something that felt completely counterintuitive. I dropped into the frequency of already having it, not pretending, not faking it till I make it, but actually locating the version of me for whom this reality was already done, already lived, already integrated. And here's the thing, that version of you already exists. Not in the future, not as potential, but right now in the quantum field as a viable timeline. You can step into the moment you stop feeding energy to the timeline of lack. The first 3 days were the hardest because your nervous system is wired to the old story. Your body is addicted to the emotional loop of wanting and not having. It's familiar, it's safe. Even if it's painful, it's known. And your system will fight to return to what's known. This is why most people quit manifestation work in the first 72 hours. Not because it doesn't work, but because the discomfort of embodying a new frequency feels worse than the pain of staying stuck. Your ego interprets growth as danger, it reads expansion as threat, and it will generate every excuse, every distraction, every doubt to pull you back into the loop. But I stayed. I sat with the discomfort. I let my body shake and my mind scream and my emotions spiral, and I didn't move. I didn't try to fix it. I didn't reach for the old coping mechanisms. I just witnessed. And this is where quantum manifestation diverges from every other manifestation teaching you've ever heard. It's not about controlling your thoughts. It's about releasing your grip on the story those thoughts are telling, because thoughts are not the problem. The identification with thoughts is the problem. The belief that you are the thinker rather than the awareness watching the thinking. By day 5, something shifted. I stopped feeling like I was doing manifestation. I started feeling like I was being it. And that's the pivot point. That's the threshold most people never cross because they're too busy doing the techniques, following the steps, checking the boxes. But quantum manifestation is not a technique. It's a state of being. It's not something you do for 10 minutes in the morning and then forget about. It's a frequency you hold all day long in every interaction, in every thought, in every choice. It's the energetic ground you stand on. And when that ground shifts, everything built on top of it shifts too. If this is landing for you, if you're feeling something shift as you watch this, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That simple action sends a signal to the algorithm, yes, but more importantly, it sends a signal to your own consciousness that you're choosing to align with this frequency. Let me explain what was happening beneath the surface. In quantum mechanics, there's a principle called superposition. It means that a particle exists in all possible states simultaneously until it's observed. The act of observation collapses the wave function into a single definite state. You are the observer, your consciousness is the collapsing mechanism, and every moment you are collapsing infinite possibilities into one experienced reality based on the frequency you're holding. Most people are unconscious observers. They're collapsing reality from habitual states, fear, lack, unworthiness, doubt, and they wonder why their life keeps reflecting those states back to them. Quantum manifestation is about becoming a conscious observer. It's about choosing the frequency from which you collapse the wave function. And here's what changes everything. You don't have to wait for external circumstances to change before you shift your frequency. You shift your frequency first, and the external reality rearranges itself to match. Not eventually, not someday, but immediately. Because in the quantum field there is no time. There is only now, and now is the only moment you ever have the power to choose. By day 7, I started noticing synchronicities, not coincidences. Synchronicities, meaningful patterns, unexpected connections, conversations that led exactly where I needed to go, resources appearing out of nowhere, doors opening that I didn't even know existed. And here's the crucial part. I wasn't trying to make any of it happen. I wasn't forcing. I wasn't hustling. I wasn't manipulating. I was simply holding the frequency of the outcome already being done, and reality was reorganizing itself around that frequency. This is what the ancient texts call wui, effortless action, not inaction, but action that flows from alignment rather than effort, action that feels like inevitability rather than struggle. Most manifestation teachings get this backwards. They tell you to take massive action to push harder to do more, but that's the frequency of lack disguised as productivity. Real manifestation happens when you align first and act second. When you become the frequency of the outcome, the aligned actions reveal themselves naturally. You don't have to figure them out. You don't have to strategize. You just follow the pull. You move when movement feels inevitable. You rest when rest feels right. And you trust that the field is orchestrating everything behind the scenes. Around day 10, I hit what I call the void. This is the space where nothing seems to be happening externally, but everything is shifting internally. The old timelines are collapsing, the new ones are forming, and in between there's this strange emptiness. Your mind panics. It says, "See, I told you this wouldn't work. Nothing's changing. You're wasting your time. Go back to what you know." But this is the most critical moment. This is where most people abort the process. They interpret the void as evidence of failure, when actually it's evidence that the transformation is working. You cannot birth a new reality without first releasing the old one. And release feels like loss, even when what you're losing was never serving you. I stayed in the void, I let it be empty, I let it be quiet, I let it be still, and I stopped needing to see evidence. I stopped checking for signs. I stopped asking, "Is it working yet?" Because the question itself is the frequency of doubt, and doubt is a powerful collapsing mechanism. It collapses the quantum field back into the reality of not having. So instead, I practiced something radical. I assumed it was already done. I lived as if the manifestation had already occurred, and I was simply waiting for linear time to catch up with quantum reality. This is the secret that no manifestation teacher will tell you because it sounds too simple, and people won't pay for simple. But here it is. The moment you stop needing to see it, you'll see it. The moment you stop chasing it, it comes to you. The moment you release your grip, your hands become open to receive. This is not a trick. This is not a hack. This is the fundamental nature of the quantum field. It responds to certainty, not hope. It responds to being, not wanting. It responds to the frequency of already having, not the frequency of trying to get. By day 15, I was living in two realities simultaneously. There was the external reality where nothing had visibly changed yet, and there was the internal reality where everything had already shifted. And the weird part is the internal reality felt more real than the external one. I knew with a knowing that transcended logic that the manifestation was done, not coming, not on its way, but done, already collapsed in the quantum field, simply waiting to materialize in the physical. And this knowing changed everything. It changed how I moved through my day. It changed how I spoke. It changed how I related to others, because I was no longer operating from lack. I was operating from overflow. Here's what most people don't understand about manifestation. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Your external reality is a perfect mirror of your internal state. And if your internal state is one of wanting, needing, chasing, you will create a reality of perpetual wanting, needing, chasing. But if your internal state is one of having, being, embodying, you will create a reality that reflects that completeness back to you. This is why gratitude is so powerful. Not because it makes the universe like you more, but because gratitude is the frequency of already having. It's the energetic signature of abundance. And when you hold that frequency consistently, abundance becomes your default reality. Around day 18, something happened that completely shifted my understanding. I was in a conversation with someone, and they said something that triggered an old pattern, an old wound, an old story about not being enough. And in the past, I would have collapsed into that story, I would have believed it, I would have let it derail me for days, but this time I watched it happen, I saw the pattern arise, I felt the emotional charge, and I didn't identify with it, I didn't become it, I simply observed it moving through like a wave passing through water, and then it was gone, and I realized this is the real manifestation work. Not visualizing what you want, but releasing who you're not. Not adding more to yourself, but subtracting the false identities that keep you locked in old timelines. I'm curious, have you ever caught yourself in an old pattern and chosen differently? Drop a comment below and share what happened when you witnessed rather than identified with the pattern. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. You are not your patterns. You are not your wounds, you are not your stories, you are the awareness that witnesses all of it. And when you stop identifying with the content of your experience and start identifying with the consciousness experiencing it, you become free, free to choose, free to shift, free to collapse any timeline you want because you're no longer imprisoned by the one you've been unconsciously repeating. This is what quantum manifestation is really about. It's not about getting stuff, it's about becoming free. Free from the tyranny of your conditioning, free from the prison of your past, free from the illusion that you are small, limited, separate, powerless. You are not small, you are infinite consciousness having a temporary human experience, and the moment you remember that, the moment you embody that, the entire game changes. By day 22, the external reality started catching up. I'm not going to tell you exactly what manifested because that's not the point. The point is not the what, the point is the how, the point is the shift in frequency that made the manifestation inevitable. But I will tell you this, it didn't look the way I thought it would. It came through a door I didn't expect. It arrived in a form I didn't plan, and this is another critical lesson. The quantum field is smarter than your conscious mind. It knows pathways you cannot see. It orchestrates connections you cannot imagine. Your job is not to control the how. Your job is to hold the frequency of the what and let the field deliver it in whatever way serves your highest evolution. Most people sabotage their manifestations because they're too attached to the specific form. They want it this way from this person by this date through this method. And when it starts showing up differently, they don't recognize it. They push it away. They say that's not what I asked for. But the universe doesn't deliver Amazon packages. It delivers experiences, lessons, opportunities, connections that align with your frequency and serve your growth. And sometimes what you think you want is not what you actually need. Sometimes the manifestation that arrives is better than what you could have planned because it was orchestrated by intelligence far greater than your limited human perspective. Around day 25, I realized something profound. I wasn't the same person who started this experiment 30 days ago, not because I had more, but because I was more. The external manifestation was almost secondary to the internal transformation. I had shifted my baseline frequency. I had released layers of conditioning I didn't even know I was carrying. I had stepped into a version of myself that wasn't controlled by fear or scarcity or the need for external validation. And from that place, manifestation wasn't something I had to do. It was something that happened naturally, as a byproduct of being aligned. This is the ultimate paradox of manifestation. The moment you no longer need it, you have it. The moment you stop chasing it, it finds you. The moment you release the attachment to the outcome becomes inevitable, because manifestation is not about manipulation. It's about alignment. It's not about forcing reality to bend to your will. It's about becoming so coherent, so clear, so embodied in your truth that reality has no choice but to reflect it back to you. Take a moment right now. Pause this video and comment below with this exact phrase. I am the frequency of what I seek. Don't just type it casually, feel it, declare it, let it move through your body as a vibrational truth. Because this is not just a comment. This is an energetic signature you're sending to the quantum field. This is a conscious interruption in the loop of waiting and wanting. This is you claiming right now that you are already the embodiment of what you desire. Say it, write it, feel it. I am the frequency of what I seek. By day 28, I understood why so many people fail at manifestation. It's not because the principles don't work. It's because they treat it like a technique instead of a transformation. They do the visualization for 5 minutes and then spend the rest of the day in the frequency of lack. They affirm abundance in the morning and then complain about money all afternoon. They declare their manifestation and then immediately start looking for evidence that it's not working. And every time you check for evidence, you're collapsing the quantum field back into the old reality. Every time you doubt, you're broadcasting the frequency of not having. Every time you complain, you're reinforcing the timeline you say you want to leave. Quantum manifestation requires consistency, not perfection, but consistency. It requires that you hold the frequency of the outcome more often than you hold the frequency of the lack. It requires that you catch yourself when you slip into the old patterns and gently redirect yourself back to the new frequency. It's not about never having a negative thought. It's about not identifying with the negative thoughts when they arise. It's about recognizing them as old programming, outdated software, ghosts of a past that no longer serves you, and choosing not to give them your energy. By day 29, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace, not the peace of having achieved something, not the peace of finally getting what I wanted, but the peace of knowing that I am whole exactly as I am right now, regardless of what manifests or doesn't manifest. And this is the final unlock. This is the frequency from which miracles happen. Because when you're at peace with what is while simultaneously holding the vision of what's becoming, you create a quantum bridge between the two realities. You're not resisting what is. You're not desperately grasping for what's next. You're simply being the bridge, and the quantum field loves bridges. It flows through coherence. It responds to non-resistance. It manifests through people who have mastered the art of being here while moving there. And then day 30 arrived and the manifestation was complete. Not because the universe finally decided to reward me, not because I did everything right, but because I had become the person for whom that reality was inevitable. I had shifted my frequency so completely that there was no other possible outcome. The quantum field had collapsed exactly as it was always going to collapse based on the state I had been holding consistently for 30 days. And the most beautiful part, it felt natural. It felt easy. It felt like, of course, this happened because I had been living in the frequency of already having it for so long that the physical manifestation was just reality catching up to what was already true in the quantum realm. So what did I learn from 30 days of quantum manifestation? I learned that you are far more powerful than you've been taught to believe. I learned that reality is not fixed, it's fluid. I learned that consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it creates it. I learned that the quantum field is not some distant mystical concept. It's the actual fabric of existence, and you are interfacing with it every single moment through the frequency you hold. I learned that manifestation is not about doing more. It's about being more. It's about becoming so aligned with the truth of who you are that the external reality has no choice but to rearrange itself to match. But here's what I really learned. Manifestation is not the goal. Transformation is the goal. The things you manifest are just evidence of your internal shift. They're just reflections of the frequency you've become. And if you chase the things without doing the inner work, you'll get them and still feel empty. You'll achieve the goal and still feel incomplete, because the external can never fill the internal void. Only you can do that. Only you can choose to step into the frequency of wholeness, completeness, enoughness, regardless of what you have or don't have. And when you do that, when you truly embody that, everything you've been chasing stops running and turns around to meet you. If this journey is resonating with something deep inside you, if you're feeling the pull to step into your own quantum manifestation experiment, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this frequency, to this space of conscious creation, to this movement of people who are done playing small and ready to remember who they really are, because the more of us who hold this frequency, the more the collective field shifts, the more of us who embody this truth, the more the world reflects that truth back. This is not just personal transformation, this is planetary transformation, and it starts with you. Let me give you something practical to take with you, because quantum manifestation is not just philosophy. It's practice. It's something you live moment to moment, choice to choice, breath to breathe. So, here's what you do for the next 30 days. Commit to this one practice. Every morning before you check your phone, before you engage with the external world, before you let the noise of the day pull you into reaction, take 5 minutes and drop into the frequency of already having what you desire. Not visualizing it in the future, not hoping it will come, but feeling it as already done, already complete, already collapsed in the quantum field. And let that frequency inform every choice you make that day. Let it guide your words, your actions, your responses. Let it become your baseline state. Not something you visit occasionally, but something you live from consistently. And here's the key. Don't check for evidence. Don't look for signs. Don't keep asking, is it working yet? Because the moment you ask that question, you've dropped back into the frequency of not having. Instead, assume it's done. Live as if it's done. Move through your day with the certainty that the quantum field has already collapsed in your favor, and you're simply allowing linear time to catch up. This is not blind faith. This is not delusional thinking. This is you understanding how quantum mechanics actually works and using that understanding to consciously create your reality. You'll notice resistance. You'll notice doubt. You'll notice the old patterns trying to pull you back. And when you do, don't fight them. Don't try to push them away, just witness them. Say, oh, there's the old program running, there's the fear voice, there's the scarcity pattern, and then gently redirect your attention back to the frequency you're choosing to hold. This is the work, not perfection, not never slipping, but catching yourself when you slip and choosing again and again until the new frequency becomes more familiar than the old one. Until the state of already having becomes your default setting, until manifestation is not something you do, but something you are. Now what I'm sharing with you here is really just the surface layer of how consciousness interacts with the quantum field. If you're feeling the pull to understand the complete architecture of frequency mastery, to move beyond manifestation into true embodiment, I've put together everything I've learned into a comprehensive guide called Beyond the Frequencies. A quantum guide to consciousness mastery. It walks you through the 9 master frequencies, the step-by-step practices for becoming a conscious broadcast rather than an unconscious transmitter, and how to shift from seeking what you want to being the field that generates it effortlessly. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Around week 2, you'll hit the void I talked about earlier, the space where nothing seems to be moving externally. This is where most people quit. Don't quit. This is the most important part. This is where the old timeline is dissolving and the new one is forming. Stay in frequency, hold the vision, trust the process, especially when your logical mind is screaming that nothing is working, because your logical mind is the last thing to catch up. It's still operating from old data, old experiences, old beliefs, but you're creating something new, something your mind has never seen before, so it has no reference point. It has no evidence and it will panic. Let it panic, you stay calm, you stay centered, you stay in the frequency of knowing. By week 3, you'll start noticing the synchronicities, the unexpected conversations, the chance encounters, opportunities appearing out of nowhere. Pay attention to these, not with attachment, but with awareness, because the quantum field communicates through synchronicity. It shows you that you're on the right path by orchestrating meaningful coincidences that logic cannot explain. And when you notice them, when you acknowledge them, you strengthen the bridge between the quantum realm and physical reality, you make the pathway clearer, you make the manifestation more inevitable, and then somewhere around week 4 it happens, the manifestation arrives, maybe not in the exact form you expected, maybe through a door you didn't see coming, but it arrives. And when it does, you'll realize this was always inevitable because you became the frequency of it. You embodied it so completely that the quantum field had no choice but to reflect it back. This is not magic. This is physics. This is the fundamental nature of reality. Consciousness creates, frequency attracts, embodiment manifests. Let me tell you what happened on day 30 that I haven't shared yet. Something so subtle yet so profound that it changed my entire understanding of what manifestation actually is. I woke up that morning, and I didn't check to see if the manifestation had arrived. I didn't scan my reality for evidence. I didn't feel the familiar anxiety of waiting. Instead, I felt complete, whole, at peace. And that's when I understood the real manifestation wasn't the external thing I had been focusing on. The real manifestation was who I had become in the process of holding that frequency for 30 days. I had manifested a new version of myself, a version that didn't need external validation to feel worthy, a version that didn't need circumstances to change to feel abundant, a version that had integrated the truth at such a deep level that my entire nervous system had been rewired. This is what no manifestation teacher will tell you because it sounds too spiritual and not sexy enough for a YouTube title. But here's the deepest truth. You are not manifesting things. You are manifesting states of consciousness, and those states of consciousness then generate the things as a natural byproduct. The thing is never the point. The thing is just evidence. Evidence that you've shifted your internal reality so completely that the external reality had no choice but to reorganize itself around you. New frequency. And when you understand this, when you really get this, you stop chasing outcomes and you start cultivating states. You stop asking, how do I get that thing? And you start asking, who do I need to become for that thing to be inevitable? Because here's what the quantum field actually responds to. Coherence, not hope, not desire, not positive thinking. Coherence, when every level of your being is aligned with the same frequency. When your conscious thoughts, your subconscious beliefs, your emotional body, your nervous system, your energetic field are all broadcasting the same signal, that's when the quantum wave function collapses with precision and speed that defies logic. That's when miracles happen, not because you've convinced the universe to give you something, but because you've become so coherent that there is only one possible reality that can manifest from that state of being. And achieving coherence is not about forcing yourself to think positively while your body is contracted in fear. It's not about affirming abundance while your nervous system is in survival mode. It's about doing the deeper work. Shadow work, the nervous system regulation, the trauma integration, the belief reprogramming, all of it. Because you cannot bypass your way to manifestation. You cannot spiritual bypass your way past your unhealed wounds and expect the quantum field to deliver. The field is too intelligent for that. It reads frequency, not intention. And if your frequency is fragmented, your manifestations will be fragmented. If your frequency is coherent, your manifestations will be coherent. This is why some people can manifest small things easily but struggle with the big things, because the small things don't trigger their deep wounds. The small things don't activate their core unworthiness, but the big things do. The big things bring up every belief about whether you deserve them, every wound around not being enough, every fear about being seen, being powerful, being abundant. And unless you've done the work to integrate those wounds, your system will sabotage the manifestation before it fully arrives. Not consciously but subconsciously, because your subconscious mind is designed to keep you safe, and safe means familiar. Even if familiar is painful, during my 30 days I had to face parts of myself I had been avoiding for years. Parts that believed I didn't deserve good things. Parts that were terrified of success because success meant visibility, and visibility meant vulnerability. Parts that had learned to associate receiving with owing, with being controlled, with losing autonomy. And every time one of these parts showed up, I had a choice. I could push it away and keep pretending everything was fine, or I could turn toward it with compassion and curiosity. I chose the latter, and that's when the real transformation began. I would sit with these parts. I would feel them fully. I would ask them, what are you trying to protect me from? What do you need to feel safe? What happened that made you believe this story? And slowly, gently, I would dialogue with these parts, thanking them for trying to keep me safe, and then showing them that the danger they're protecting me from no longer exists, that I'm not that child anymore, that I have resources now, that I can handle whatever comes. And as these parts began to relax, as they began to trust that it was safe to let go of their protective strategies, my frequency became more coherent. The internal resistance dissolved and the manifestation accelerated. This is the work that most people are not willing to do. They want the shortcut. They want the technique that bypasses the healing. They want to manifest from their wounds rather than from their wholeness. And the universe will let you try. It will let you chase and strive and hustle and force, but it won't give you what you're asking for. Because what you're asking for from that state would only reinforce the wound. The universe is not withholding from you, it's protecting you from manifesting things that would keep you trapped in the very patterns you're trying to escape. So if you're going to do this 30-day experiment, if you're really going to commit to quantum manifestation, you have to be willing to meet yourself fully, all of you, the parts you're proud of and the parts you're ashamed of, the light and the shadow, the healed and the wounded, because wholeness is not about being perfect. Wholeness is about being integrated. It's about bringing all of your parts into coherence so that you're no longer at war with yourself, so that you're no longer a house divided, because a house divided cannot stand, and a frequency divided cannot manifest clearly. But here's the most important part. When it arrives, don't stop the practice. Don't say, great, I got what I wanted. Now I can go back to my old ways, because the practice is not about getting one thing. It's about becoming the kind of person who can consciously create any reality they choose. It's about mastering your frequency so completely that manifestation becomes your natural state, not a special event. It's about living in constant creation, constant evolution, constant expansion. This is your birthright. This is your natural state. You've just forgotten, and these 30 days are your remembering. So let me ask you, what would change if you truly believed that you are the creator of your reality? Not theoretically, not conceptually, but in your bones, in your cells, in every breath you take. What would you create? What would you become? What old stories would you release? What new timelines would you step into? Because you have that power right now. Not someday when you're more worthy, more ready, more evolved. Right now in this moment, you are the observer collapsing the quantum wave function into experienced reality. You are the consciousness through which infinite potential becomes manifest form. You are the bridge between the quantum field and the physical world. And you get to choose what you bring through. And here's something I discovered around day 23 that completely changed my relationship with time. We think of manifestation as a linear process. We plant the seed, we water it, we wait, and eventually it grows. The quantum manifestation doesn't work that way. In the quantum field, all possibilities exist simultaneously right now. The version of you who already has what you desire exists right now. The timeline where everything has already worked out exists right now. It's not in the future. It's not potential. It's actual. It's just existing in a different frequency band, like a radio station you're not currently tuned to. So manifestation is not about creating something that doesn't exist. It's about tuning yourself to the frequency of the timeline where it already exists. It's about shifting your consciousness from the channel of lack to the channel of abundance, and the moment you fully tune in, the moment your frequency stabilizes on that channel, you begin to experience the reality of that timeline. Not eventually, not someday, but immediately. because in quantum terms, you're not moving toward the manifestation. You're collapsing into the version of reality where the manifestation already exists. This is why feeling is so important, more important than visualizing, more important than affirming, more important than any technique. Because feeling is the tuning mechanism. When you feel the reality of already having what you desire. When you feel it so completely that your body responds as if it's happening right now, you are literally tuning your consciousness to that timeline. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and an actual experience. To your body, the feeling is reality, and the quantum field responds to the body's electromagnetic signal, not to your mind's story about the future. This is why people who are desperately trying to manifest something rarely succeed, because desperation is the feeling of not having. Trying is the frequency of lack, and every time you try, you're actually reinforcing the timeline where you don't have it. But when you relax into the feeling of already having it, when you let your body experience the relief, the joy, the satisfaction, the peace of the manifestation being complete, you tune yourself to that exact timeline, and reality shifts to match. I spent days 16 through 20 just practicing this feeling state. I would sit quietly, close my eyes and drop into my body, and I would ask, what would I feel like if this manifestation had already occurred? Not, what would I think, not what would I say, but what would I feel? And I would let that feeling flood my entire system. I would breathe it into every cell. I would let it saturate my energy field, and I wouldn't try to make anything happen from that feeling. I wouldn't try to figure out the next step or strategize the how. I would just be in the feeling, just marinate in the frequency, just let my system recalibrate to that new normal, and something remarkable happened. The more I practiced this, the less I cared about whether the manifestation actually showed up, not because I had given up, but because the feeling itself was so fulfilling that I didn't need the external thing to feel complete. I was experiencing the essence of what I had been seeking, and essence is what we're always actually seeking anyway. We don't want the thing. We want how we think the thing will make us feel. We want the relationship because we want to feel loved. We want the money because we want to feel secure. We want the success because we want to feel worthy. But here's the quantum secret. You can generate those feelings right now without the external thing. And when you do, when you become the source of the feeling rather than seeking the feeling from external sources, you become magnetic to the things that match that feeling. This is the ultimate paradox of manifestation. The less you need it, the faster it comes. The less attached you are to the outcome, the more powerfully you attract it. The more complete you feel without it, the more inevitable it becomes. Because need is repulsive, desperation is repulsive. But wholeness is attractive, completeness is magnetic. When you're not trying to get something from the world, when you're not trying to fill a hole inside yourself with external achievements, you become a magnet for everything you've been chasing because you've shifted from the frequency of lack to the frequency of overflow. And overflow attracts more overflow. Let me give you another practice that was crucial during my 30 days. Every time I noticed myself slipping back into the old frequency, every time I caught myself worrying or doubting or checking for evidence, I would do this. I would put my hand on my heart, take a deep breath and say out loud, I am already living in the reality I desire. I am already the person I'm becoming. I am already holding the frequency of my manifestation. This is not affirmation. This is declaration. This is me consciously choosing to collapse the quantum wave function back into the timeline of having rather than the timeline of wanting. And every time I did this, I could feel my system relax. I could feel my frequency shift. I could feel myself stepping back into alignment. Because here's the thing about frequency, it's not static. You don't just set it once and forget it. You have to maintain it, you have to cultivate it, you have to choose it moment by moment, especially in the beginning when the new frequency is not yet your default. Your system will want to slip back into the old familiar patterns. Your mind will want to return to the old familiar stories. And every time you catch yourself slipping, you get to choose again. Not with judgment, not with frustration, but with gentle, loving redirection. Oh, there I go again, falling into the old pattern. Let me choose differently. Let me return to the frequency I'm cultivating. Let me remember who I'm becoming. This is the discipline of manifestation, not the discipline of doing more, but the discipline of being more. The discipline of catching yourself in the act of self-sabotage and choosing differently. The discipline of noticing when you're operating from fear and consciously shifting back to love. The discipline of recognizing when you're in the frequency of lack and deliberately tuning back to the frequency of abundance. This is not bypassing. This is not denying reality. This is consciously choosing which reality you want to feed your attention to, because whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you give your energy to grows, and if you keep feeding the old story, you'll keep living the old reality. But if you consistently feed the new frequency, you'll birth the new reality. Before we go further, I want to invite you to do something. Watch this video again tomorrow morning, right when you wake up before the world pulls you into reaction. Let it recalibrate your frequency for the day. And if you know someone who's struggling to manifest, someone who's stuck in the old patterns, share this with them. When you share quantum consciousness principles, you're not just passing along information. You're creating an energetic ripple in the field. You're reinforcing your own understanding through the act of giving. You're accelerating both your manifestation and theirs through the principle of quantum entanglement. What you give, you amplify in yourself. Take another moment now, drop into your body, feel the truth of what I'm saying. Not with your mind, but with your being, and drop one word in the comments below. One word that captures the energy, the intention, the transformation you're choosing right now. Not a casual comment, an energetic signature to the quantum field, a declaration of who you're becoming. One word, make it powerful, make it true, make it yours. Because the more of us who declare our truth, the more the collective field shifts. The more of us who step into our power, the more the world reflects that power back. This is how we change everything, not by waiting for the world to change, but by becoming the change and letting the world catch up. And if you haven't already, subscribe, not just to stay connected to this content, but to stay aligned with this frequency, to stay coherent with this truth, to stay elevated in this understanding, because the path of conscious creation is not something you walk once. It's something you live every day. It's a practice, a discipline, a way of being. And the more you immerse yourself in this frequency, the more natural it becomes. The more you surround yourself with others who understand this truth, the easier it is to hold it yourself. We are creating a community of conscious creators, a collective of people who know they are the authors of their reality, and every person who joins us raises the frequency of the whole. Every person who steps into their power makes it easier for the next person to step into theirs. This is the real secret of quantum manifestation. It's not just personal, it's collective. The frequency you hold doesn't just affect your reality, it affects the entire field. Every time you choose love over fear, you make love more available in the collective consciousness. Every time you choose abundance over scarcity, you make abundance more accessible to everyone. Every time you choose power over victimhood, you remind others of their own power. You are not manifesting in isolation. You are manifesting as part of a vast interconnected web of consciousness, and your shift creates ripples that touch lives you'll never meet in ways you'll never know. So when you do your 30-day quantum manifestation practice, do it not just for yourself. Do it for all of us. Do it as an offering to the collective field. Do it as a declaration that a new way is possible, that we don't have to live in fear and lack and limitation, that we can choose differently, that we can create differently, that we are in fact the ones we've been waiting for. The shift doesn't happen out there. It happens in here, in you, in me, in each of us who chooses to remember who we really are and step into that truth fully, completely, unapologetically. 30 days, that's all it takes to prove to yourself that this is real, that you are powerful beyond measure, that reality is not happening to you. It's happening through you. 30 days to shift your frequency so completely that your life becomes unrecognizable. 30 days to step out of the old timeline and into the new one. 30 days to become the conscious creator you were always meant to be. Will you do it? Will you commit? Will you show up for yourself with the same consistency that you've been showing up for everyone and everything else? Because you are worth it. Your dreams are worth it. Your transformation is worth it. and the world is waiting for you to remember who you are and share that truth with the rest of us. This is not the end. This is the beginning of you living as the infinite, powerful, creative being that you are, the beginning of you manifesting from alignment rather than effort, the beginning of you collapsing timelines consciously rather than unconsciously, the beginning of you stepping into the frequency of already having and letting everything else fall into place around that frequency. 30 days, one choice, infinite possibilities. The quantum field is waiting. What will you collapse into reality? Now, here's what most people don't realize about this 30-day transformation. It's actually just the initiation into a much deeper recognition. Because once you've proven to yourself that you can consciously shift your reality through frequency alone, the next question becomes inevitable. What else have you been collapsing unconsciously your entire life? What patterns, what limitations, what versions of yourself have you been holding in place simply because you didn't know you had the power to choose differently? There's a transmission I need to share with you about what happens the moment you truly see this. The video is called The Moment You Watch This. Your old self begins to collapse. It reveals the exact quantum mechanism that activates when you become aware of your role as the observer, and why that awareness alone is enough to dissolve every outdated identity you've been carrying. You'll understand why this 30-day journey wasn't about getting something, but about remembering who you've always been.